On Fanalysis, we take the stats born in fantasy football combined with the latest betting trends analytics. And for that, we find you the sharpest angles each week. And that's when we turn to our lead betting analyst from Pickswise, Jared Smith. Jared, the Jets are back. Jets and Giants games. Let's start off here with the Jets. Favored by, or I should say the Patriots are favored by 3. When's the last time you saw the Jets being favored? Patriots are favored by 3 at home. This game actually has the most playoff implications of any Week 11 game. So how are you seeing this one shaking out?
Both games, Jets and Giants, key numbers, very evident here. And the one thing I'll start with before we get into the handicap of the game, 3 has been even more prominent over this season than in prior seasons. We've seen a slight uptick in the percentage of games landing on 3. If you take the full sample over the last 6 seasons, it's about 14% of the NFL games land on 3. This season, almost 18% are landing on 3. And again, that's not a massive uptick, but I think it kind of fits this narrative we're looking at where closer games, more parity across the league, more games landing on that very key number of 3. And you've seen both lines this week, especially the Jets, really move towards one side of the aisle. And it's really been the Jets getting a ton of love in the market. And it's kind of surprising because the Patriots off the bye too, the last, data point we saw for both teams, obviously the Jets upset win over the Bills, very exciting. But the Patriots also looked pretty good in their win over the Colts. And I think it was a bit interesting to me that we saw Patriots -5.5 look ahead get gobbled up all the way now down to that key number of 3. So there's been a lot of respect for the Jets in the market this week. And I think the optimism surrounds Zach Wilson. Turnover-free game against the Bills, 0 turnover-worthy plays. I don't know if Zach Wilson's had a game in his entire career where he's had 0 turnover-worthy plays. And what we saw was getting the ball out quicker, getting through his progressions faster, leaning on the running game, and then, of course, letting that Jets defense work. I think Zach Wilson not turning the ball over matters more to me than any other element of this Jets offense because the defense is good enough to win games as long as the offense doesn't put them in disadvantageous positions. So I think the Jets, to me, if you figure out a way to keep Zach Wilson upright and you get Bill Belichick off his back, and let's be honest, Bill and the Patriots have had a ton of success against the Jets over the years. I think it's 13 straight wins. Correct. To me, you get a little bit of positive momentum for the Jets. That's why we've seen the market move in their direction.
Well, yeah, I mean, and let's be honest, that last game, I think that, the last game against the Patriots, I think the worst thing that Zach could have said on those 3 interceptions was, I was getting kind of tired of throwing the ball out of bounds. So I just wanted to give it a shot. What? Do not do that again. In fact, in that game, the Jets only ran for 51 yards against the Patriots. They clearly tried to make Zach beat them through the air. The Jets came back against the Bills and ran for $174. Is it very clear now that the path to victory for the Jets is keep the ball on the ground and don't let Zach beat you?
Yeah, and Patriots kind of have the same vibes, right? And the weather this week, I think, will also play a factor. I know in Buffalo it's really bad. We'll see what it's like in New England. But I think you get a lot of listen, you're talking to Mr. Jets fan here. I would like nothing more than to see this team go into New England and exercise some of those Bill Belichick demons. But for some reason, in the back of my head, I keep thinking to myself, if there's one coach that could derail what's been a very positive year for the Jets, it's Bill Belichick. So be careful here taking 3 with New York. This line has moved so much. I don't think there's a lot of value there. Maybe we get some Patriots money flood into the market this week because there's been so much movement in a very low total game. Every point matters. If we get back to 3.5, that's where I would be interested in stepping in on the Jets. I think at 3, it's a reluctant pass, and I'll just root for my team to win.
We might see that line movement because, according to Vegas, the Patriots are the second most bet favorite so far in Week 11 this week. Giants, 3-point favorites at home against the Lions. Detroit has picked up back-to-back wins over the Packers and the Bears. Despite having the league's worst defense, are they more formidable defensively than their record shows?
And this is a feisty is the word I would use for this Lions team.
A chance-taking defense.
Yeah, and listen, Dan Campbell, there's not enough kneecaps on the planet for this guy. He absolutely has brought a different level of intensity to this team. And when you talk about this year, particularly in the NFL, the parity across the league has never been higher. The games have never been closer. Teams are running the ball more effectively instead of passing it. Yards per completion, the lowest since the merger. Yards per carry, up. The power, the counter runs, the more traditional bully ball that we used to see back in the 70s and 80s, 90s, it's starting to become popular again. Why? Well, the defenses had to adjust to these passing offenses. They got smaller, they got lighter, they got quicker on the edge. Well, what does that do? It's like the sands of time flowing back and forth. Well, now there's openings up the middle for teams to run the ball right down people's throats. That's what the Giants have been very successful at this season. The Lions have been very successful. They have the 10th best run block win rate. They've got one of the nastiest offensive lines in football, and they've got some pretty good running backs with Williams and Swift in the backfield. That's what concerns me in this matchup for the Giants. They aren't as tough and as beefy up the gut as you would like a tough-nosed football team to be. And I think the weather, again, in the New England, New York, New Jersey area this week is going to be a factor. I don't think we're going to see a lot of high-flying, deep down the field throws. I think this game's going to be played in a phone booth. That's the case. I'd rather have 3 points in my back pocket. And also, can we give a shout-out to Aiden Hutchinson, who is playing absolutely lights out as a rookie defensive end for Detroit this year, and also a shout-out to Brian Daboll, who has done a fantastic job as the Giants coach. The adjustments they've been able to make, second in EPA per play in the second half of games this year, that, to me, clearly on the coaching staff, Mike Kafka deserves a nod as well. This game, to me, feels like it's probably going to land on 3. So if you get 3 in your back pocket, you hope Detroit comes out on the better side. It's the favorite bet of the week, but I wouldn't be upset with betting the Lions +3 this week.
There might be a total of 20 points scored in this game. By the way, the Giants, in their last 21 home games, the under has gone, or they've gone under in 17 of those games. So the over-under this week is at 45, and that could be something that certainly is in play. All right, that's how he sees the Jets and the Giants games. Check out our other segment on Week 11's Best Bets. For Jared Smith of Pickswise, I'm Steve Overmyer. This is Fanalysis.